Entertainment giant Paramount has launched a more than $160 billion bid to buy Warner Brothers, setting up a hostile bidding war with Netflix. If it wins, Paramount would challenge the dominance of the streaming giant by taking control of Warner Brothers' prized assets, including HBO and DC Comics. On Friday, it looked like Netflix had secured a $108 billion deal for Warner Brothers' TV studios and streaming assets. But President Donald Trump, who is a friend of Paramount's owner Larry Ellison, expressed scepticism about the deal back on Sunday.
Should they be allowed to buy Warner Brothers? Should Netflix?
Well, that's the question. They have a very big market share. And when they have Warner Brothers, that share goes up a lot. So I don't know. That's going to be for some economists to tell. And I'll be involved in that decision too. But it is a big market share. There's no question about it. It could be a problem.
Well, Paramount's $160 billion counteroffer also includes financing from investment firm Affinity Partners. That's run by the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Several Middle Eastern government-run investment funds are also involved in Paramount's counteroffer. Let's talk about it all with economic futurist, Evan Lucas. Evan, hi, nice to see you. What does this new offer, the Paramount offer, look like, and why is it hostile?
Yeah, look, first and foremost, Lorna, it blows the door open with regards to how the deal will be going forward, because it does mean that instead of going through the board, this hostile taker circumnavigates that. It goes past it and actually goes straight to shareholders. And as you've been reporting, it's a 45 Aussie dollar per share offer. That's why it's hostile. And it is different in the fact that it is actually a full cash suite offer. Netflix is doing a combination of cash and equity. Not only that, they're not buying all of the whole Warner Brothers Discovery assets. They're buying about 75% of it. They do not want the cable assets, whereas Paramount wants to get the whole thing. They say that's a cleaner, better option. It means they don't have to divide the whole company up. That's all well and good, but there is still so much other to play out. And already you've seen that Warner Brothers' response this morning has been muted. They've basically said, don't respond to anything to shareholders directly. And Netflix hasn't even actually put out a statement. So there is a long way to go in what looks like being a pretty messy affair now.
The Warner Brothers board prefer the Netflix offer. Why?
So in their view, it's a longer-term, cleaner deal. So they see the synergies between it, and they love using those kinds of words. They talk about the fact that it will be a much better way to actually extrapolate, particularly the HBO material, into the broader market. They see the ability also to get the Harry Potter franchise and the DC comic franchise into the streaming service sphere to really take on players like Disney, and what Disney Plus has been doing in that space is the better option. They also think the ability for, therefore, turning the cable asset, the Discovery asset, around can still be done. They get both sides of the asset from a shareholder's point of view. As Paramount are arguing, though, on the other side, this is not necessarily the best opportunity because, again, from their idea, there is a lot of regulatory hurdles to be brought. And as you showed in the opening, the president himself has a concern about how big this will make Netflix and the overall content catalogue that it has.
Paramount, in its announcement of this hostile bid, said it would forego governance rights and board representation. I mean, who's that a play to?
Yeah, so that is a play directly to the US Foreign Review Board. Under their current laws, that if you have any form of foreign government or foreign investment that has to take up voting rights or has any access to C-suite, any access to the board, that goes under the Foreign Review. Now, what they are talking about here, and this is particularly around the sovereign funds from Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and also from Abu Dhabi, that they won't have any of those positions. They are not advocating for any of those positions, and therefore it doesn't have to go through that foreign review, which is a fascinating scenario. And I've spent all morning trying to find out what they get out of this in terms of that deal. And most of the analysts in the US are still trying to scratch their heads about what that means. You talked about Affinity Partners as well. They are backstopping this, along with the actual Ellison family private capital. That in itself also makes this quite interesting because there is now a political element to it. It also involves the whole family finances of the Ellison family through the Paramount deal. So there's a lot to go here that doesn't have as much clearness as what they're trying to sort of play it out as.
What does regulation say about the contact, the connections, the Ellison family and the Trump family, the fact that Affinity, which is, as you say, one of the major backers, is Donald Trump's son-in-law's company?
Again, from a regulatory side, normally something like the SEC will look at that very closely. You'll also, again, hear that link, but you and I both know in what's been happening in the post-first term of a Trump administration that can slightly blur. Again, this is still a long way to go. I mean, Warner Brothers have said very clearly to shareholders, this isn't the better deal. They have said don't do anything or any action at the 45 Australian dollar share offer. So there's still room there. The other thing that we don't know now is what Netflix does to respond to this. Do they try and trump it? Do they come over the top with the deal that's even sweeter that already you've seen the Warner Brothers board approve? So that will be the next question that comes with this as well, is that we are now in a bidding war essentially rather than anything else.
So many aspects to it. It would make a great movie, wouldn't it? What happens next?
Well, what happens next? I think the question on that one is clearly around the response that the shareholders give. Because if they are going to get the better offer and the sweeter deal, do they actually say the hostile taker is better? And that will be the question. The shareholders are the one that now makes the question about where the story goes.